Hey, what's up everybody? Roshank here bringing you all my 25,000 subscriber special, which is of course going to be a Q&A. And just before I get into the video, around last week when I first announced this Q&A, it was supposed to be a 20,000 subscriber special, but since then I've gained around 6k subs, which is totally insane. So the first thing I want to do before I get into anything else is I want to thank you guys so much, because not just this past week, but over this past half year in general, you guys have been unbelievably supportive, and it really does mean the world to me. Thanks so much, guys. And there are actually a couple of people that I want to thank specifically in this video, and if I don't get around to thanking you in this video, I will thank you in a future Q&A video, because I have a very long list of people to thank. So if you weren't thanked yet, then don't feel too bad, because hopefully I'll get to you in the future. But anyways, the people I want to thank are Phoenix Blade, Manga, etc., Nerdy Steve, and Cylod. And these four guys have basically been with me since the very beginning. Honestly, without these guys, I would not be here today, because there was a time when I was really frustrated with how my videos were doing. They were just not doing all that well. They were getting like 5 to 10 views consistently. And it's these guys' comments that kept me going. So thank you so much, guys. Alright, so with that, let's go ahead and get into the actual questions. And there were a lot of very good questions, but unfortunately I can't answer all of them. And the reason why I can't answer all of them is a lot of questions were stuff like, Roshank, what's your favorite Pokemon game of all time? Roshank, what's your favorite video game of all time in general? And the thing is, those are all actually future video ideas I have for this channel. So if your question doesn't get answered, it means it was probably so good that I want to dedicate an entire video just to it. So again, once again, if your question does not get answered, I'm really sorry about that, but it does mean that you asked a very good question. To start things off here, I want to give a bit of a general overview about myself, because a lot of people ask questions about, I guess, my personal life outside of YouTube and stuff of that nature. So, first of all, my name is Rohan. I'm currently a college student at a place called Harvey Mudd College, which is a very small college of around 800 kids down in Southern California. It's a college mostly for math, science, engineering, and those type of majors, and I specifically am studying computer science and math. With regards to what I do outside of school, I'm a pretty avid tennis player. I actually play for my college's tennis team, which is a fairly big commitment, and I'm also pretty intense about tennis. I've been playing since around 10 years old, I want to say, so I'm really into tennis. I also play guitar, but I'm not that great at guitar. I just really enjoy playing it, and I also do listen to quite a bit of music as well. I guess my musical interests are mostly hard rock. I listen to a lot of Breaking Benjamin, Metallica. Metallica's amazing. A little bit of Megadeth, and also some 3 Days Grace. And then the last thing you guys should know about me is actually probably something you already know, and that's that I'm very much into reading manga and watching anime. That's a pretty big part of my life. I haven't really had as much time for it lately, just between everything, between YouTube and trying to get videos out, between tennis, between, work. I'm working at a company as an intern over the summer, which I'll actually talk about a little bit later in this video, because I did go to get a question with regards to that. I haven't had as much time, but I'm still really into it. I love Tokyo Ghoul. Tokyo Ghoul is one of my personal favorite manga series of all time, along with stuff like Berserk. Claymore is really good, stuff of that nature. Getting into the actual questions here, the first question I got is a rather interesting one, and this question is, what inspired you to do YouTube? So this is actually a very long story, because there are quite a few, I guess, events that happened in my life that inspired me to do YouTube. First of all, when I was a lot younger, in around 2007, 2008, I was obsessed with Blame Truth, which sounds really weird, because at the time, Blame Truth was mostly doing Call of Duty commentaries and Call of Duty videos, and I have never really been a huge Call of Duty fan. I have had my stints with the game, but I haven't really been crazy into it. I was always more of a Halo guy, but nonetheless, I loved Blame Truth. I don't know why I loved him, but I loved him. And then around, I think, 2010, maybe 2011, I'm not exactly sure on the year, but around that time, Blame Truth uploaded his first Pokemon video, which was totally unexpected for me. And for me, as a huge Pokemon fan, someone who's been a massive Pokemon fan since I was like 8, that was a dream come true. And at that time, that was pretty much the time I knew I wanted to make YouTube videos. I didn't actually start, though, until around my freshman year of college. And in my freshman year of college, I got together with a pretty good friend, and we decided, hey, we can do much better than all of these YouTubers out there, so let's make our own videos. And our videos were crap, guys. We thought we could do pretty well, but the honest truth is, our channel kind of sucked. We had a lot of fun doing it, but I was definitely a little bit overconfident. He wasn't overconfident so much. He just sort of wanted to do it for fun. I thought I could do a lot better than I actually could. And the first thing I learned when getting into YouTube is that it's really, really hard. And I guess the entire experience was very humbling. But anyways, we ended up with around 50 subscribers after 8 months, and we did not deserve any of those subscribers. I'm not sure how we got that many, but we did. I'll leave a link to that channel down below. It's called The Brown Shakedown. And actually, because I guess me and my friend were both kind of brown. But anyways, I actually plan on doing a couple of reaction videos to reacting to my old videos from that channel, which should be pretty fun at some point. But yeah, that's pretty much the story of how I got into YouTube. From there, we had our channel for about 8 months, I want to say, and then both of us started getting really busy, and it's also just generally much harder to maintain a collab channel because you guys have to coordinate and stuff. It got really difficult, so we sort of fell out of it, and then about a year after I stopped that channel, I started up this channel. I decided to give it another shot, and pretty much after a year, this is where I am today. The next question is, how old are you? So I am currently 20 years old. I'm actually turning 21 on August 12th, so it's coming up soon. And let me tell you, that's totally crazy for me because I still feel like an 18-year-old just coming into college. The fact that 3 years have gone by just like that has been crazy. I'm entering my senior year of college. I am going to be graduating next year, which is just so crazy. It's kind of a bittersweet thing because on the one hand, I think I'm going to be proud when I graduate, proud to get a degree because I've worked fairly hard in college, I feel. But at the same time, I really enjoyed college, so I don't really know if I want to leave. I'll probably be a lot more ready to leave, though, once that time comes. So I guess it's sort of a bittersweet experience overall. The next question is a very interesting one, and the question is, who was your original inspiration for creating your channel, and why did you choose the genre of content that you create? Okay, so this is actually a bit of a long story. My inspirations I already talked about. My inspirations are Blame Truth and also my friend who I started my channel with. My last channel, excuse me. With regards to why I make the genre of content that I do, Pokemon, the answer to the Pokemon side of that is pretty simple. I've been playing Pokemon ever since I was 8 years old. I feel like I have a pretty decent knowledge of the franchise, and I sort of just want to share my enjoyment of that with you guys. And the second Blame Truth started uploading Pokemon videos, I pretty much knew at that time that I wanted to do Pokemon. So Pokemon's just sort of a long time thing that I've been into. The Elder Scrolls and Fallout content is a little bit of a different story. And here's why. So, I've always been super into Elder Scrolls and Fallout. I haven't been like a super hardcore fan until maybe like the past 2 years or so, but I've always been super into it. And when I first started on my channel, the intent was mostly to be a PokeTuber, mostly to do Pokemon videos. But then I was playing some Fallout 3 way back in the day, around a year ago, and I was really enjoying the game. I decided, hey, I'm going to start a Fallout 3 LP on my channel. I mean, why not? It doesn't have to be a main series, but I might as well start it. And then about 5 to 10 days after I uploaded the first video, Fallout 4 got announced. The Fallout 4 reveal trailer dropped. People were freaking the hell out. People were saying, I'm gonna lose my life to this game. I was saying at the time, I'm gonna lose my life to that game. And I guess just in general, the coincidence of me uploading my first Fallout video and then Fallout 4 getting announced right after that, I took it as some sort of sign that I need to start doing Fallout videos. And from there, of course, you know, Elder Scrolls videos followed. And I've always personally been a bit more of an Elder Scrolls guy than a Fallout guy, I guess, which is no hate on either franchise. I'm not trying to say anything about one being better than the other. I love both equally from an objective standpoint. It's just that personally, I guess Elder Scrolls means a little bit more to me. So after doing Fallout videos, I guess that Elder Scrolls videos flowed naturally. And then from there, I just started doing more Elder Scrolls videos because I love the Elder Scrolls franchise. Do you have any anime to recommend for each of the following 3 categories? Something sad and moving, something epic, something weird or mysterious or mind-breaking that's like an anime studio produced Inception. Anything to recommend at all? This is a very long but also very interesting question. I'm also going to recommend manga here. I'm actually more of a manga guy than an anime guy, and there's a lot of overlap between the two, but I tend to read more manga. So this is going to be from purely a manga standpoint for the most, not purely, but mostly a manga standpoint. Something sad and moving. This is going to be a very, very unpopular answer, but I was actually very sad at the end of Gurren Lagann. And the reason why is, it was super upbeat, super like comedic for like the first 22, 23 episodes, and the last few episodes just hit you with all these feels. And I felt like it just ended so sad, so I came very close to crying. I didn't actually cry. I'm not the type of guy that usually tends to cry when reading or watching stuff, but there is one exception to that, and that is Berserk. I cried a lot while reading Berserk. That manga was unbelievable. Cried mostly out of frustration, but also out of sadness. I've never read anything that sad or traumatizing. That manga is unbelievable. The symbolism, the writing, the art, the feels, it's absolutely absurd. I highly recommend it to anyone who is not ready yet, even if you're not into manga. But at the same time, I'm going to warn you right now, it is very traumatizing, and there's a lot of messed up stuff that happens. So if you're interested, I recommend checking out like the first 10 or 15 chapters, and if you're already kind of traumatized by the first 10 or 15 chapters, then I wouldn't recommend going more into it because it gets a lot worse. For something epic, I actually have 2 anime to recommend here. First one is Code Geass. Code Geass is unreal. It's so good. The main character is one of my favorite main characters of all time, and it's just done really well. It's a perfect combination of sort of mind games with a lot of really cool like mechs and like blowing up stuff and like action. And the second one is Death Note. Death Note is the perfect anime to start with, in my opinion. It's unbelievable. It's so good. It's a very classic anime, and it does have some cliche stuff, but it's still very, very, very good. And it's one of the few anime I've watched where I really do feel like it worked out better as an anime than as a manga, which is kind of strange because in general, when making an anime, you make it from the manga. The manga is the source material. So for something derived from the source material to be better than the actual source material is a little bit strange, but that's how I feel about Death Note. It's great. Something weird or mysterious or mind-breaking that it's like an anime studio produced Inception. So I don't really have a very good answer to this, simply because I haven't watched any particularly mind-twisting anime. I guess Death Note. Death Note is the #1 recommendation for this, probably. Code Geass to some extent. But I'm also going to recommend Tokyo Ghoul. Tokyo Ghoul isn't like weird like Inception, but it is mind-breaking. It's very mind-breaking. You could go down this like psychological roller coaster a lot of the time. So I guess I could sort of recommend that. Tokyo Ghoul is another one of my personal favorite manga. The symbolism in Tokyo Ghoul is unbelievable. It's not quite on par with, say, Berserk in my opinion. I think from an objective standpoint, I think Berserk is one of the best manga of all time. Tokyo Ghoul is also up there, but Tokyo Ghoul is, I guess, personally my favorite manga of all time, which is why I'd highly recommend it. What are your goals for the future outside of YouTube? Oh man, this is such a complicated answer. Around 6 months ago before winter break, I thought I knew what I wanted to do. Around that time, I was thinking, I want to go to graduate school after I graduate college. I want to apply to a PhD program and try to get a PhD in computer science. But here's the thing. I hadn't really actually legitimately worked before that. I had done a research internship, but it isn't really the same thing. And over winter break, I worked for the first time as an intern at Cisco. And then now again, I'm working at a different company as an intern. And I've sort of realized that I might not want to go to graduate school. I might just want to go straight into the software industry after I graduate. So this is something I've been struggling with. I do have to start thinking about applying to graduate school soon, unfortunately. So I'm not really sure. I'm either going to be going to the software industry or I'm going to be going to grad school. I don't really see myself becoming a professor or anything. So I guess if I did end up applying to a PhD program, I would try to go into industry after that. So I guess the ultimate future plan is to go into the software industry. If you were in charge of the Pokemon franchise and you had to choose any series to do an official crossover with, what would it be and what would be the title of that crossover? I don't really have too many good ideas for this one. I mean, I could say something obvious like Digimon, but I don't want to do that, or like Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know if Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon would fit. I feel like Digimon and Pokemon could fit. I don't really want to do that though. I don't want to give something obvious. So I'm going to give the strangest answer you guys could possibly think of, and bear with me here for a second. Pokemon and Game of Thrones. Wait, before you jump on me, let me explain. If you literally took the characters in Game of Thrones and threw them into the Pokemon universe, or threw Pokemon into the Game of Thrones universe, that would make no sense and it would totally suck. But here's what I want. I've always wanted a Pokemon series, a Pokemon video game, or a Pokemon anime or something like that, that is much darker, much deeper, and much more mature than Pokemon is right now. I feel like there's a huge market for that, because there are a ton of people who played Pokemon as a kid, and now they're grown up, and they might seek something a little bit more mature. So what I would like to see is a Pokemon series, be it a video game, or an anime, or a movie, or what have you, where any character can die at any time, there's a struggle for power, and there are a lot of mature themes in that show. That's what I would love to see. So I guess Pokemon done Game of Thrones style. I'm not sure if this is the type of answer you were looking for, but this is the type of crossover I would love to see the most. As for the name of this crossover, I don't really have any idea. I guess Game of Pokemon is the most obvious one. That's not really a great title though. Oh, I've got a good one. Game of Legends, because it would be based around like legendaries or maybe hunting legendaries or something like that. So Game of Legends is my answer to this. If you were to name your subscribers, what would you name them? So this is actually a pretty easy answer, because my name is Rohan and I'm a pretty big Lord of the Rings fan, so I guess I would name you guys Riders of Rohan. But here's the thing, Riders of Rohan is such a pretentious name. It's like I'm some sort of king, which I'm not. I'm not like some sort of star or anything. I'm just like some YouTuber, so I don't really want to name you guys. I don't want to name you guys something ridiculous or pretentious and act like a total ass, so I'm not going to name you guys anything. If you guys have any suggestions for me naming you guys that don't sound ridiculous, then I'm all ears, but I don't know about Riders of Rohan or anything like that. Which Pokemon remake do you enjoy more? Heart Gold and Soul Silver, or Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire? And damn it, this is such a hard question. I guess from an objective standpoint, I think Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire are some of the best done Pokemon games of all time. So my objective answer is Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, if I'm just looking at it as like a critic or like a reviewer. Personally, I enjoyed Heart Gold and Soul Silver a little bit more. I don't know why I enjoyed them more, but they were just so good. I guess it was maybe I was more into Pokemon at the time, and maybe they carry a little bit more nostalgia for me, because at that time I was like 15, I was having like sort of a revival of Pokemon in my life. So I'm gonna say objectively Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, but personally Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Do you read light novels or visual novels? No, I do not, but I feel like that's something I would be interested in. I just don't really have that much time right now. I'm struggling to even read manga at this point. Like, I'm struggling to get up Tokyo Ghoul reviews and such, so I guess that's on my to-do list, but no, I do not right now. And if you have any good recommendations for light novels or visual novels, I'd love to hear them. What is your favorite sport? And the person who asked this definitely knows what my favorite sport is, which is why I think he asked this. My favorite sport is, of course, tennis. I'm a very avid tennis player. I love tennis. My favorite sport to watch may not necessarily be tennis. Tennis is definitely up there. I love watching basketball. I feel like basketball is really entertaining, really dynamic to watch, but definitely for playing, I love playing tennis far and above any other sport. What is your favorite video game of all time? And like I said at the beginning of this video, this is actually a future video idea I have, so I'm not going to give a definitive answer, but I will say I love the Halo franchise. Halo has a very, very special place in my heart, and I really do enjoy it, especially Halo 2 and Halo 3. The more recent Halo games, I mean, like after Halo Reach and Halo 4 and Halo 5, I'm not as big a fan. I've sort of fallen out of it, but Halo's up there. So other than Pokemon, Fallout, and Elder Scrolls, I would say Halo's up there. Not necessarily my favorite game of all time, I'm saying, but it's up there. If Bethesda were to make a new video game series, what would you want it to be like? Okay, so this is very ironic because I just uploaded a video about Starfield, but pretty much Starfield is my ideal new Bethesda game. I think what Bethesda has right now in Fallout and Elder Scrolls is really unique, but if they added sort of a deep space, high sci-fi, very high-tech type of RPG, I think that would be really cool. And also if they threw some magic in there, so sort of like a Star Wars-esque type of magic, obviously not like, Elder Scrolls magic, but something like Star Wars. Actually, just something like Star Wars in general, an RPG that sort of resembles Star Wars, but with a lot of Bethesda elements that we've had so far, and not necessarily like, a set story. It's not going to be a story-based game. It's going to be more of an open world sort of free game like Bethesda has done in the past. Something like that, I think would be really amazing. Who is your favorite starter Pokemon? That's an easy answer. My favorite starter Pokemon is Mudkip because Mudkip was my first Pokemon ever. I actually love all the Hoenn starters a lot. They're probably all, maybe not in my top 5, but definitely in my top 7. And then I also like Turtwig a lot. Turtwig is actually probably second, and then probably some of the Hoenn starters right after that. So that's my answer to that question. When do you think the Elder Scrolls 6 is going to come out, and when do you want it to come out? This is a very controversial question, which is something, as I learned in my last video about the Elder Scrolls, people do not like it when you say certain things about the release date of the Elder Scrolls 6. I'm going to share my thoughts on the list, though. Take this with a grain of salt. When do I want it to come out? To give an exact year, I guess ideally I like it to come out around 2018, maybe 2019, but that's not going to be my answer. My answer is whenever Bethesda is ready to release it. That's when I want it, because I don't want a subpar game. I want them to put as much effort as they can into the game. So if they're not ready to release it, I don't want them to come out. So my answer to the first part of this question, when do I want it to come out, is whenever Bethesda feels like they're ready to release it. With regards to when I actually think it's going to come out, I think 2020 or 2021 is more likely. And I got so much hate on my last video for saying this, but if you look at what Todd Howard said from E3, he said it's going to be, and I quote, many years until you hear about the Elder Scrolls 6. That's not exactly what he said, but that's basically what he said. So I don't feel like many years means like 2 or 3 years. I feel like it means like 4 or 5. I could see a 2019 release date, actually. 2019 to 2021 is, I think, the sweet spot for the release date of the Elder Scrolls 6. But given that they're probably in the middle of making Starfield right now, I don't think they have the time to really develop the Elder Scrolls 6 before 2019 or 2020. They are definitely working on it, though. And actually, Todd Howard said something interesting. He said, and I quote, "We do not have the technology to do the Elder Scrolls 6 yet." He didn't exactly say that once again, but he basically said that. I shouldn't have said, and I quote, but that's pretty much what he said. How crazy are Bethesda's plans for this game if he said that they don't have the technology to do it yet? Obviously, when you see a quotation like that, you're like, oh, it's going to be many years until the Elder Scrolls 6, but if you delve deeper into it, I think Bethesda has a lot planned for this game. I think they have a lot planned for this game, and I think it's actually going to be a very good one. So I think they really want to blow us away after Skyrim. So that's my thoughts on the Elder Scrolls 6. Alright guys, well that's pretty much going to do it for this Q&A video. I apologize if this was a little bit subpar because I don't have too much experience doing vlog type videos, so my bad for that. But I do want to gain some more experience doing it, so from here on out what I like to do is do maybe a Q&A video, say once every 2 weeks or maybe once every month, where I answer your guys' questions. So of course, if you guys could leave me some more questions down below to answer, then I really appreciate it. Otherwise, guys, I want to thank you all once again, not only for watching this video, but just for the support in general over the past 6 months. You guys are the people who keep me going. The only reason why I enjoy this is seeing your guys' comments and being able to talk to you guys and all that, which I know I've been a little bit less active in the comments recently, but I'm trying to get more active. But nonetheless, guys, thank you so much once again. Hope you all have an awesome day, and I will see you in my next video.